Good afternoon, and welcome to K2's Road to Excellence, Part 20, and our partner, Zoho Books. This is Alan Salmon, and I'm pleased to welcome you to our final webinar of 2019. A little bit of admin work before we get started. My good friend Marilyn Benninger is backing us up today. She is your go-to person for technical issues and for questions. All of your microphones are muted for obvious reasons. You're welcome to take notes, but be aware that within 10 days and certainly before Christmas, Maryland is going to be sending you all a package. That package will contain a video of this webinar, my extensive teaching notes, teaching files, and the answers to all of your questions, and of course, your CPD certificates. So questions get asked in the chat window. And after the webinar is over, Marilyn sends us the questions. We send the answers back to you, and the questions and answers will be in your package. If you're new to these mini webinars, 5 times today, Marilyn is going to be stopping us and putting up a polling question. Those are multiple choice questions. You don't have to get it right, but you have to pick one and click on submit. And if you're recorded as submitting 75% of the questions today, you'll get a 1 hour verifiable certificate. If you don't, it'll 1 hour of non-verifiable. Now on to the topic of today, array formulas. And at an advanced level, there are 5 Excel formulas that I have trouble getting my head around. Those are indirect, match, index, and array formulas, and I misstated it 4. So I'm going to deal with array formulas today. And when I do the simple ones, most of you or some of you or all of you are going to say, why go to all of that trouble? Because I could do it the way I've always been doing it. And you are absolutely right. But I'm going to paint you a picture of once you understand how the simple ones work, how valuable they are when we start to get into decks of 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 rows.
So prior to today's session, would you say that you had used array formulas? You understood the effect of the Control-Shift-Enter? You knew how to use equal sum product? Maybe you work with array constants? Or if you're like me, I'd have chosen none of the above before today. We keep our polls open until we see 90% participation, and we're just right there. Thanks for your responses. I'm going to count you down from closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm closing the poll. I'll share the results. You see those, Alan?
That's about what I figured. And what do I want to do? I want to give you a definition of array formula basics. So an array is a collection or a range of 2 or more items. It's a formula that acts on an array. Array formulas can perform multiple discrete calculations in a single cell. And if I have time, you'll see that I can embed an array formula within other formulas. And finally, array formulas can perform calculations that are not possible with conventional formulas. Now, there is a formula that I use sometimes in advanced Excel work called LEN, standing for length. So what the length does is tells me how many characters there are here, 4, 2, and 5. Now, if I do equal len bracket, that, close the bracket, I'll get 4. But the challenge is not that I can't do this, but if I don't want to do this in pieces like this, I just want that we need to do as an array formula. So I'm going to type in equal sum bracket LEN bracket. I'm selecting the cells that I want to get the length for, and I need 2 brackets here. There we go. Now, if I hit enter now, I'm going to get an error message because the len formula only works on one cell at a time. But if I hold down the control key, the shift key, and the enter key, notice what I get. So it has actually calculated the length for a range, or an array as that's called. And up top now, you're going to see the curly braces at the beginning and the end. I got those curly braces, as I said, by holding down the control, enter, and shift keys. And you can't type those in, you've got to generate. Eli Manning has 4 different rates depending on what he's working on. And I've exaggerated these, of course. And I've got these for here. Now, Eli Manning is supposed to generate 700 hours times that times that. And the traditional way of doing that calculation up here would be equal that times that equal that plus equal that times that plus 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 plus. And of course that, as you know, for me is way too much work. So I'm going to introduce you or review the sum product formula. And this is an array. So I'm going to take these times these. And in this case, I'm going to close the bracket and just hit enter. There we go. Now, notice up here, there's no curly braces around here. That's an idiosyncrasy of sum product because we're really multiplying 2 arrays. So in this case, as far as I know, in only this case, we don't need the braces. Now, let's compare 3 different ways of doing calculations. So let's deal with the conventional, and that would be to do a helper cell of that times that. And then we go down here and we get that. Now we could also do it as a sum product. And a sum product would be that times, notice it's the same. Now, if I didn't want a helper column here, I could do this as an array formula equal sum bracket that times that bracket control shift enter. And notice here we have the curly braces. So which one is correct, or which one should we use? Well, in this case, any of them work. But imagine that you had 1,000 rows and you only wanted the total billing. There you could use sum product, or I would do an array. And this is what I mean about simple examples. I want you to envision doing this with a really large spreadsheet and understand the value of arrays. There we go. Now here's another example that's kind of cool. Notice these numbers here. Well, down here, I've got the total sum of C5 to C9. Notice even though these numbers in the 3 columns are exactly the same, this one chose 0.38. The correct answer is 0.39. And if I asked you just off the cuff what the problem is here, you would indicate that it's a rounding error, and you would be incorrect. What it is a formatting area. So I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to increase the number of decimals here and watch, whoops, I need to do the whole thing. Watch what happens Do you see that we have decimals in the third decimal place and the fourth? And you see what the total is of those numbers? 425.38. So when we bring it back, we get the error. Now, in these cells, notice what I've done. Equal round A5 divided by B5, comma 2, which means round it to 2 decimal places, and I've done that here. And I haven't done it here because all of these have been rounded. But that's a fair bit of work. Notice that I have the same numbers here, but instead of going to the trouble of doing equal round, notice what I've done. Equal sum round E5 to E8, comma 2, and turn it into an array. So that instantly rounds all of these and gives me the correct answer. And there's another valuable use of array formulas. And here's an interesting one. I have products here: mango, mango, apple, apple, mango. And I want to find the maximum value for mangoes and the maximum value for apples. If I did equal max down here, I would get 24. But that's not what I want. I want 24 for mangoes and 21. And the formula that I'm going to use is this. So I'm saying if A3 to A7 equals A3, then calculate the values that are in B3 to B7 and give me the maximum value. So let's do this. Let's take off the apostrophe. Let's do Control Shift Enter, and we've got 24. So it's gone and evaluated 21, 24, and 19. Watch what happens if I drag this down. Notice for Apple, there's the max moving right along. And I like this one. But I got to show you a bit of theory before I get into it. I have 3 dates here, and I'm going to show you how to use 2 formulas, equal large and equal small. So notice the formula in C2, equal small, B2 to B4. Now you would think that that's going to find the smallest value, but it isn't, because notice the comma 2, which says find me the second smallest value in this range. And that's the 21st of February. Let's do large. Large, B2 to B4. I want the third largest value, which is that one. And there's large, comma 1, and that happens to be the largest number. And remember something, and that is this. Although those appear to be dates, they're actually numbers. So this works. So now that I've set you up, let's go to this sheet here, and let's delete this. And what I'm interested in, you notice 5th bike store, 5th bike store, 5th bike store, and dates. I want the earliest date in this column. I want the second earliest date in this column, 3rd and 4th. And the way I do that is right there. If B4 to B14 is equal to B4, then use C4 to C14 and get the value in D3. In other words, get the smallest value in that range. Does it work? Well, let's test it out. Here we go. Control Shift Enter. 20th October 2014. 20th October is the smallest one. And then we can quickly ripple it down. And I've got a couple of errors over here in the 4th column. So the second smallest date is that right there. Another example of using array formulas. So arrays can be one-dimensional, and this is a one-dimensional horizontal array. And of course, what do I want? Well, I want the total of this. Whoops, let's go over here and save a step. And then I want the total here. And we go down. However, what happens if I only want the total value and I don't want to create a helper row? Well, arrays, here we come. Equal sum, bracket. Here's the first array, multiplied by the second array, Control Shift Enter. And what did I do here? Oh, I did a sum here instead of a multiplication. And the dummy didn't multiply here. And now let's do this. So if we use the helper row, we get 41,000. If we use the array formulas, it's exactly the same. And what I've got here, and I'm only going to show you the finished one, is this. I've got those 6 numbers added up here, but I want it to be a rolling report, meaning if I add September, I want this to change. And the reason it's going to change is because I have that huge formula here. And I'm going to go back to here. So I've clarified what I'm doing here. So we solve this array from the inside out. So step 1, the max function is going to return the latest available date between columns B and J. The input from step 1 is used in the end of month function to move back 6 months. I want to move back to here. And then I want to sum the 6 months. And if we go here, there's the formula there. There's the 6 months. Now, all of these are explained in detail in the handout that you're going to get, and you will have access to all of the files that I've taught with today. So wrapping up, array formulas, and I've showed them to you at a very basic level, except for this last one, are a great way when you can't or don't need to do intermediate steps. And on that note, Marilyn, I am done. So moving on, can you put up the final poll for me, please?
I'm happy to do that. So folks, we're expecting to have 5 polls today. So the next one is a really easy one. What trends in technology are you most interested in for 2020? Security tools and applications, always connected computers, personal technology to improve your work-life balance, that was mine, all of the above, or maybe something else that we didn't ask you today. It's a nice, easy question. We're always interested in your responses. You're just about at 90%. I'll be counting you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to close those polls and share the results.
All right, and of course, this is a lead in to our first mini webinar in 2020. And we're going to make 2 changes. There's only going to be 1 mini webinar a month from January to June. Then we're going to skip July and August and do 2 in September, October, November, and December. The second thing, and it won't have any effect on how you work and log in and so on, is we're changing webinar platforms, and we have high hopes that that will give you a better understanding and a better view. And then finally, ever since its inception, I have been moderating the mini webinars. So you hear me at the beginning, you hear me at the end. Starting in September, Ward Blatch, my partner, will be taking over that role. I will still be doing 8 of the 12 mini webinars, but I just won't be hosting them. So on that note, we need to turn things over to Zoho Books.
Thanks, Alan. So,
thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, Alan and Melon. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I believe everyone can see my screen now, right?
Correct.
yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Okay, it is actually a pleasure talking to all of you here. I would be taking some of your time here and explaining how the Zoho Finance suite of applications from Zoho that are dedicated to manage the finances of a company would help you manage the system for your clients. And we would take a deep dive into Zoho Books, our mainstream accounting software as well. So for those of you who are actually new to Zoho, let me actually take a minute here and show you what Zoho is. So I can confidently say here that Zoho should easily be one of the biggest companies that you've not heard of. If you have not yet heard of Zoho, that's for you guys. So let me give you an overview of how big Zoho is. So we've been in business for more than 22 plus years, with offices in more than 10 plus locations across the globe, and we sell in 160 plus countries. And one thing that we are really proud of to say is that Zoho is private. We do not take external funding. Every revenue that we generate from the multiple products that we have is invested back into the company to make our products better, and also to develop new products that can make life easier for the businesses. We are nearly 8,000 employees across the globe, and we have 3 divisions within Zoho itself. Now let's take a look at Zoho Finance. So before that, as you can see, the authenticity of a business or a company, you would judge them based on the number of users that business or that system has. So Zoho is currently at 45 million plus users, and we recently clocked 50 million. So this is old. So we are at 50 million users around the globe. Now, before I start explaining Zoho Finance suite of applications, so as you can see on my screen, these are the 6 applications that comprise Zoho Finance. Before we do that, I would actually request Melon to go for our first poll question, please.
Absolutely. Thanks for that handoff.
Mhm.
Folks, we're asking you this nice simple poll question. What percentage of your clients would you say are using an online accounting program? It could be none or not applicable to you on the call today, up to 25%, maybe 50%, 75%, or maybe you have all of your clients using an online cloud-based accounting program. It is a nice simple question, so we're already at 90%. Thanks for those responses. I'm going to count you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm closing that poll. Let me just share those results with you. Diraj, we have 73% of folks on the call have either none or it's not applicable to them. 25% of folks say they're at 17% of the people on the call, up to 50% or 6%, 75% represented at 1%, and we get 3% on the call that have 100% of their clients in an online accounting program.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Merlin. Okay, now we can take a deep dive into what Zoho Finance comprises of. So as I told you, you see the years in these applications was launched below or above them, as you can see them in the order. So there's Zoho Invoice, which was actually the first product that we launched. It was released in 2008, and it's a simple online invoicing tool that can be used to manage the accounts receivable for a business. Then in 2011 is when we actually launched the trademark accounting software for entire Zoho. So that's Zoho Books. And this can basically manage both accounts receivables, accounts payables, run strong reports, and we would be taking a deeper look into the application as such moving forward in the session. Now, Zoho Subscriptions is actually an interesting product. Zoho Subscriptions actually allows you to manage your subscription-based business model. So most of you in this webinar today would be familiar with Netflix and how Netflix works. So Netflix is basically a company that runs on a subscription model. You subscribe to that on a monthly basis. They charge your card and take out the money, and then you enjoy the services. So for businesses who use such services or provide such services to their clients, they use Zoho Subscriptions to streamline their financials or invoicing. Now, the good part of Zoho Subscriptions is that it finally ends up in Zoho Books. So any data that you have in subscriptions would finally end up in your accounting system automatically through the integration. Now, I've been working closely with accountants and bookkeepers across the US and Canada region for Zoho. And the latest trend that I'm seeing among accountants or CPAs or bookkeepers is that they tend to provide their service in a subscription model to their clients. So I can see a lot of accountants or bookkeepers coming on to Zoho Subscriptions, where they actually embed their services on their websites. People come on their website, see their services, see their offerings, and probably subscribe to a service. From then on, the application at Zoho, that is Zoho Subscriptions, would take care of the invoicing, payment collection, and all the aspects for you automatically. Now, in 2015, we launched Zoho Expense. So Zoho Expense is a product with wide scope for companies that has expense reporting as their pain point. So large organizations will always find it difficult to streamline their expense reporting process. Like employees, like companies, you can take Zoho itself as an example, where we have employees traveling around the globe regularly. Now, to have these expenses reported and reimburse the amount to the employees, it's always difficult when it's done in pen and paper. Now, Zoho Expense is set out to solve this problem for businesses around the globe. So when you have Zoho Expense, people can just take a picture of the expense receipt and then upload it into the system. System automatically converts that into an expense. And finally, you can compile all those expenses and submit that as a report to your manager, or however the hierarchy is set up for you. And that process can also be set up, like the custom approval process can be set up. And within the application, you can finally process a reimbursement towards your employee's bank account. Now, Zoho Inventory was also launched in 2015. So this is mainly targeted at sellers on online platforms like Shopify, Amazon. You ship the goods through shipping carriers. So Zoho's online order management system is what we call Zoho Inventory. You'd be able to do a lot when it comes to inventory management, like multi-warehouses, serial number tracking, batch tracking, integration with these platforms like Shopify, Amazon, eBay. So any orders placed there would automatically be coming into the system, and then you can fulfill those orders through Zoho Inventory. And finally, you can ship those orders as well through integration with various shipping carriers that we've provided, like FedEx, DHL. So there's a lot of options that you can choose from. And the good part is Zoho Inventory is seamlessly connected with Books. So when you're using Zoho Books and Zoho Inventory, you can have a single interface, and it won't feel like you're using two different applications. Now, in 2017, we actually launched Zoho Checkout, which is a very simple product, but really powerful, I would say, because Zoho Checkout allows you to develop custom branded hosted payment pages that can be embedded on your websites. So using Zoho Checkout, you can actually take payments from your website, one-time or recurring payments, mostly used by NGOs, I would say, so they can take donations. You can specify the amount, or you can leave it to the person donating to have the amount entered according to his choice. In 2017, we also launched Zoho Payroll, but it's available as of now for California and Texas in US, and for India entirely. We do have a payroll integration available for Canada, which I would be talking later in the session. Now, integrated business process is what we offer with Zoho Finance. So all the applications that we just saw provide you options to streamline your business process, right from sales, purchase. All these are streamlined. You can create transactions. You can send them out to your clients. You can send out purchase orders. You can to your vendors. Do the reporting within the system. Expense reporting can be done using Zoho Expense. So this is the life cycle as you see here. We take care of everything, including taxes for you. So your tax filing, the liability towards the government can all be found out from within the system. Your input is just the transactions that you create. Now, let me speak a bit about how Zoho Finance apps share data. So Zoho Finance applications that we just saw now share the same database. So it's all built on the same database, facilitating the flow of data from one to another. So let's take a scenario where you have a client and he uses an accounting system from company A and he uses an inventory system from company B. Now, these systems might or might not integrate by default. If they do integrate by default, then there's a sync time set up through the integration, and the data gets pushed. It's usually one way from the inventory system to books only probably once in 2 hours or once in 5 hours. But when it comes to Zoho Finance, there's no such delay because it's all under the same database. You create one transaction. So let's take Zoho Inventory. You create a sales order in one, it automatically syncs into Zoho Books immediately. There's no such delay and there's no need of plugins or costly developments by hiring a third-party developer to do this for you. So there's no integrations required. It's pre-integrated. Now, we also provided much of the focus on keeping it simple. So when a person actually logs into our software, we make sure that they do not get embarrassed on how to use all these, but it's always simple. The UI is intuitive. They would not have any trouble navigating through the features and finding out where to click for what. So that's how intuitive the user interface is. We'll be looking at the application as such moving forward in the session. And with such intuitiveness, we have also provide powerful reporting and customization within the application. So there's all financial reports available that can be customized according to date ranges or various other customization options provided within the system. So you can generate such reports and make sure that you are keeping up on the financial side of your business. Now, when you look at Zoho, Zoho is not just limited to the finance domain. So we are basically a company that can manage all aspects of the business and run online. So right from sales, marketing, finance, operations, including compliance and tax, you can do all those with Zoho. So there are 45 plus business applications, all on cloud, a single login. You get to use all of that and make sure that you can grow. So we make sure that our clients can grow with us. So you start off with probably just accounting, and as your business expands, you can bring in more applications from Zoho, and it's all pre-integrated. Like a business that's starting today would need the accounting or the invoicing for sure. And then moving forward, they definitely need a CRM. So Zoho has its own CRM, which is integrated to the accounting as well as its own inventory management. So that's the scope of all the business applications that we have. Now, using Zoho would bring up the concept of one vendor, one account, and one support. So Zoho would be the only vendor that you have, and there would only be a single login. That's an email address and a password of your choice that you use for all the applications of Zoho. So it's a single login for all these applications, and there would only be one support line that you call for help, which would be the Zoho support line, because all your applications, all your business runs on Zoho applications. Now with that, I would actually like to give you a hand-on experience on Zoho Books, our accounting application. Now, before we jump onto that, I think it's actually time for our second poll question. Malin, if you would help us with that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right, folks. Do you advise your clients about applications that can integrate with their accounting program? Your answers are sometimes, yes, all the time, it's what you do, no, none of the time, and there may be some of us on the call it's not applicable today, and that's fine. You're in a good spot for new learning. We're already at 90%. It's a nice, easy question. I will, though, count you down from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. I'm going to close the poll. And let me just share those results with you, Diraj. 26% are sometimes, 5% are yes all the time, 5% say no none of the time, and there's 65% of folks on the call today. It's not applicable to them, but they're in a good spot for future learning.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Marlon. So I would actually now take everybody to Zoho Books and show you how the application looks like for a newcomer. So this, what you see on the screen now is Zoho Books, our cloud-based accounting application. As you see on the screen, it's an intuitive dashboard that welcomes you when you log into the system. You have all these figures that you see on the screen that are generated from transactions recorded into the system. Now, I would not obviously be doing a full-fledged demo of the system because we do not have the time for that, and also I don't want to bring that up here. But I would like to showcase the features that are going to make life easier for bookkeepers or CPAs or accountants who help their clients in managing their books. So we've been really interested in the accounting profession, and we've developed features in the application that are going to make things a lot easier to reconcile stuff at the end of the year or probably at the end of the month. Now, let me directly take you to the banking module. So an important factor or an important need for an accounting application is to talk to the bank account or the credit card account of the business. Now with Zoho, you would not have trouble with that because we directly integrate with more than 5,000 institutions across the world. So as you see on my screen, you can simply select the bank account that you work with from the long list and enter your online banking credentials and hit on continue. Once you do that, your bank account, and the same process is applicable for credit cards as well. Once you do that, these accounts are connected with Zoho. So every withdrawal or deposit taking place in those accounts would automatically come into Zoho as feeds, and you'd be able to reconcile them with transactions. So this makes sure that in a business, nothing is missed out. Now, let me also quickly show you how the reconciliation is going to look like. So this is one dummy bank account that I created. So you can see these are transactions that came in from the bank. Now I can simply click on a particular transaction. Zoho Books by default is going to show you the best matches as well as the possible matches for this particular feed. Now there's an expense on the same date. I can either match that or I can categorize this as a new transaction in the system. So there are two options for you to do that. Now, this makes sure that every transaction taking place in your bank account or your credit card account is being accounted for in your Zoho Books, basically, which is your accounting system. Now, once you've done the reconciliation for all these transactions, we allow you to reconcile your account. So there's a reconciliation process that you can do within each bank account or credit card accounts that you've connected to Zoho. And now if you feel your client or yourself have a lot of transactions happening in your bank or credit card accounts on a daily basis, and it's tedious for you to go in and reconcile these one by one, then we have something called transaction rule to make life easier. So if you go into transaction rule, you can see there's a rule that I've set up by default. So every transaction, every withdrawal that come in to Zoho Books that contains description as Netflix need to be categorized as an expense under the meals and entertainment account. So this is a rule that I've set up. So you can set up rules like this in the system to make sure that all transactions are already recognized. And such transaction would fall under the recognized tab as you see over here. And from there, you can just bulk categorize them at a go, saving you a lot of time again. Now we would actually look at the customers tab. So every entity, be it a customer or a vendor that you have in your business, you would need to add them as customers or vendors in Zoho Books as well. So we have separate dashboards available for customers as well. As you see, there's an individual dashboard for Aaron Taylor is my customer here. And I can view all transactions that I've done with them over here from within the contact dashboard, view all the details. I have outstanding receivables. These are unpaid invoices that Aaron owes me. There are unused credits, so I owe him this money. The payment terms that I've set up for him. I can do statements over here. So there are statements that I've done with Aaron, statement of transaction. I can customize the date and send that out as an email, download a PDF, or even take a printout. Now, one unique feature that you get with Zoho Books is that we provide something called Client Portal. So every customer that you add in the system, we allow you to provide them a portal of their own, portal of your organization, basically. So they can log into your organization's portal. And as you see over here, this is how it'll look like when Aaron Taylor logs into my organization's portal. And they can view all the outstanding invoices. They can pay for outstanding invoices, update their information here, estimates. They can accept or decline estimates that they've opened with me. So as you see, there's a notification that came up saying Aaron Taylor has viewed your estimate. Now I can decline or accept the estimate, and this is going to automatically reflect in Zoho Books. I can exchange notes with the business owner over the comment section over here, make payment for invoices, download the statements from here. So there's a lot that the client himself can do with the client portal rather than contacting the business owner every time. So that's one interesting feature that we offer with Zoho Books. Now, remaining as you see below are under the sales module are basic features that all the systems provide as well. So you can do your invoicing, send out estimates in sales orders, keep track of the payments that you received, set up recurring invoices. So if you have invoices going out on a fixed frequency, then you can automate that and have the system handle the same. Now, under purchases, also, you're going to find the same modules, but except it's vendors rather than customers. So you have your vendors over here. You can find a dashboard for vendors as well, just like you saw for customers. You can record your expenses, do your bills. So every invoice that you receive from your vendor is going to be tracked as a bill in the system in Zoho Books. And another important thing in bill is that we allow you to make payment for the bills using ACH, or you can also do a check payment from within the application. So you can do an ACH to your vendor's bank account directly, or you can print a check and provide that to your vendor to make a payment for the bill. Now for invoices, I forgot to mention that. So for invoices as well, when you have an invoice, you actually get to send out invoices by associating a payment gateway. So in the screen, these are all the payment gateways that we work with. You can just have an account with them and send out the invoice to your client from within the application by clicking on Save and Send. Your client would basically get a copy of the invoice along with the payment link. All they need to do is simply click on the link, enter their credit card information, and make payment for the invoice. This would automatically reflect as paid within Zoho Books. So that's how easy it is for businesses to take payments using credit cards, using our system. Now, I would like to take you to the accountant module, which is another important piece in the application. So Zoho Books is a double entry accounting application. So whenever you record a transaction, the accounting entries for the same is recorded automatically at the back end. Let me show you that. So let's take an invoice. Under each invoice, you would find an option that says Display Journal. So the journal entries associated with this invoice can be viewed over here. So as I told you, it's double entry. Now, in spite of that, if you'd like to do journal entries within the application, then you can do that over here under Manual Journals. So you can do journal entries, choose the account of your choice, and save and publish them, or even save as draft. Another beauty of the application is that we allow you to set up templates for journals. So if you're a business that has same journal entries that needs to be posted in different intervals, then you can set up templates with or without amount alongside the accounts that you choose. And these templates can be chosen while you set up a new manual journal. We allow you to do tax payments, basically keep track of your tax liability for Canada. So we have this, what you see on the screen is basically a country-specific edition of Zoho Books for Canada. So we are compliant with the taxes over here. So you can see there's GST, HST returns, QST returns, and also provincial tax. So we help you manage that within the application itself. Now, tax payments can be generated. Now, I would also be taking you to the report section where you can mark those returns as filed. So we would not be allowing you to directly file the taxes from the system, but basically generate a filing and then recording the payment within the application. You can do budgets, and also It can be a monthly or a yearly or even a quarterly budget, and you can run a budget versus actual report from within the application for the different accounts that you have in the chart of accounts. So this is the chart of accounts over here. Now, bulk update is another feature that you would find very useful because we allow you to, so let's say you're managing the accounting for a client and he codes the transaction to a different account, and you basically would need to come back and update it for your client. You can do that using the bulk update option here. So you can select the account that needs to be updated, and you can do that all in a go. Now, I know that we're running short of time. Yeah.
You need to close in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm doing that. Thank you for the heads up, Alan. So yeah, so I'd just like to show the reports as well. So these are the reports that we have. Everything dynamic. You would be able to do a drill down into the to the transaction level and find out what comprises these figures. And there's customization available for each of these reports. You can run the reports on an accrual or a cash basis as well. So that's pretty much about Zoho Books, and I would like to request Malin to bring up our final poll question here.
Thank you so much for that. All right, folks, when we have 5 poll questions on our webinar, you need to have answered 4 or 5 in order to earn a verified PD credit. This is a nice question for next year, 2020, hard to believe. What is your biggest goal for your business? To gain new clients, expand the services you offer, learn new technologies, and if there's an answer that you don't see there, please feel free in our post-webinar survey to enter your own response, and we'll forward those along to Zoho Books. With our very best wishes for a Happy New Year, of course. We're at 90% already. I'm going to be closing you down in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Closing our last poll for 2019. 20% want to gain new clients. 7% want to expand services. 62% want to learn new technologies. 11% of folks have an other, and they may leave a comment in our post survey. Thanks everyone for your responses.
Thank you so much, Malin, for that. Any questions, you can please drop in the questions box of the webinar about Zoho Books. I'd be happy to answer those when Malin shares those questions with me.
And I'm back. So I want to thank Marilyn and D-Ray. And before we close, I want to show you 2 paid seminars that go along with what you've seen today. The first one is a look ahead to next year. Small Business Cloud Accounting Shootout, where Ward is going to compare the various small business accounting programs. The other is K2's Cloud Computing, covering the issues dealing with cloud computing. And on that note, I want to wish you all season's greetings, and I look forward to seeing you again in the new year. It's a wrap.